Let me tell you a secret: most men will never understand the difference between a woman who sleeps with you and a woman who becomes obsessed with you isn't in your looks, your money, or even your skills in bed. It's in the way you touch her when sex isn't even on the table. That's right, the most powerful seduction happens long before the clothes come off, in moments so subtle most men miss them entirely, but not you, not after today, because what I'm about to reveal will change how women respond to you on a primal level. Imagine knowing exactly where to kiss her, how to touch her, when to pull back so that her body cravasseres like an addiction. This isn't pickup artist tricks or key-app manipulation. This is the art of awakening a woman's deepest desire, thickened that lingers in her mind for days, that makes her chase you without you ever having to beg for attention. Stick with me, because in the next few minutes I'm going to show you the 5 hidden places most men ignore. Places that, when touched the right way, don't just turn her on, they make her feel something she can't explain. And that, gentlemen, is how you stop being just another option and start being the man she can't forget. Don't skip ahead, because the most powerful one isn't where you think it isn't. Missing it could cost you everything. Let's talk about desire. Not the superficial kind, not the rushed, fumbling kind, but the kind that lingers in her mind long after you've touched her. Because if you think kissing is just about lips meeting skin, you've missaid the entire point. Real desire is, for example, most men never even consider it. They go straight for the obvious, the expected, and in doing so they fail to awaken what lays beneath. But when you bring your lips to that delicate pulse point, something profound happens. You're not just kissing her, you're tapping into a primal signal, the rhythm of her heartbeat. That's not just biology, that's psychology. The wrist is vulnerable, a place where her veins lie close to the surface, where her body betrays her arousal before she even realizes it herself. When you kiss her there slowly, deliberately, you're not just touching her skin, you're demonstrating patience, a control, and an understanding of her deeper instincts. You're showing her that you know how to read her, how to draw out their desire rather than demand it. And then there's the back of the neck. This isn't just a spot, it's a territory of surrender. When you kiss a woman there, you're engaging with something ancient, something wired deep in the nervous system. The neck is a place of exposure, of trust. In the animal kingdom, predators go for the neck to dominate. In love, you do the same, but with tenderness, with precision. When your lips brush that space just below her hairline, you're reactivating a response that bypasses thought entirely. Her breath catches, her spine arches, not because she's just sitting to react, but because her body is answering yours. On an instinctual level, this is the power of strategic touch. It doesn't just create pleasure, it commands attention. But let's go deeper. The spot just below her ear, soft, often ignored, is a direct line to her nervous system. When you exhale, letting your lips graze the skin, you're engaging with something far more potent than simple physical contact. You're playing with anticipation, with the space between stimulus and response. It's that moment of hesitation, that split second where Ash wonders if you'll linger or pull away. That's where real tension is built, and tension is the foundation of desire. Many men rush to, many men assume that passion is about speed. It's not, it's about restraint. It's about knowing exactly when to press in and when to hold back, because what you withhold is just as important as what you give. And this brings us to the most dangerous territory of all, the inside of her thighs, where most men fail. They either ignore it completely, treating it as nothing more than a stepping stone to something else, or they rush. Else is what separates the amateur from the master. So here's the truth: desire isn't just about what you do, it's about what you understand. The body is a map, and every kiss is a choice. Do you follow the well-worn paths, or do you chart your own course? Do you settle for surface-level pleasure, or do you dig deeper, unlocking the kind of desire that lingers, that leaves her breathless long after you've walked away? The choice is yours, but remember this: the difference but ordinary and extraordinary isn't luck, it's knowledge. And now you have it, so go forth and kiss her like a man truly understands what it means to be desert. Let's talk about something countervitation, the fact that the most powerful way to make a woman crave you isn't by giving her everything at once, by mastering the space between what she wants and what you choose to give it. This isn't manipulation, it's psychology. It's understanding that desire isn't just about fulfillment, it's about tension, and tension requires restraint. Think about the last time you truly wanted something, not just liked it, not just thought it would be nice to have, but opt for it. What made that desire so intense? Chances are it wasn't immediate gratification, was the waiting, wondering, the almost but not quit it. That's the essence of anticipation, of making the space between wanting and Having so electrifying that the fulfillment when it comes is explosive. No, apply this to intimacy. Most men operate under a simple flawed assumption that the faster they escalate the more she'll want them, but that's like the complexity, the nuance, the slow build that makes the experience unforgettable. When you kiss a woman's inner thigh on scene, then pull back. You're not just teasing her, you're demonstrating something far more profound. That you understand the power of delayed gratification. You're showing her that you're not desperate, that you don't need immediate validation, that you're confident enough to let the moment simmer, and that confidence that's irresistible. This isn't just about sex, it's about human nature. The brain is wired to value what it has to wait for. Studies on dopamine, the neurotransmitter states with pleasure and motivation, show that anticipation often triggers a stronger response than the reward itself. When you pause before kissing her neck, when you let your lips hover just above her skin for a heartbeat too long, you're tapping into that exact mechanism. You're not just creating physical arousal, you're lighting up her mind. You're making her think about you, wonder about you, fantasize about what comes next. And that mental engagement is what transforms a fleeting moment into a memory that lingers. But here's the critical distinction. This isn't about playing games or being withholding for its own sake. It's about rhythm. It is about understanding that pleasure, like a music, needs pauses to be meaningful. If every note is played at full volume, their salt isn't intensity, it's noise. The same applies to touch. When you vary your pace, when you alternate between slow deliberate kisses and sudden withdrawal, sure composing an experience, you're making her body hyper aware of every sensation, because it never leap in a culture that glorifies instant gratification. Choosing the slow path is an act of rebellion. When you kiss the arc of her foot or the curve of her shoulder blade with the same attention most men reserve only for obvious aortic zones, you're making a statement that she's not just a collection of body parts to be conquered, but a universe to be explored. This approach doesn't just satisfy women, it astonishes them. Bakao Seizo. Few men understand that real seduction is about discovery, not conquest. There's an important distinction to make here between tenderness and timidity. This isn't about being hesitant or unsure. It's about being deliberately attentive. The confidence required to kiss her hip bun with the same intensity most men reserve before her mouth is actually greater, because it demonstrates patience that knows exactly what's coming next. And that uncertainty, that's where obsession begins. This principle extends beyond the physical. It's present in every great story, every gripping film, every piece of art that holds your attention. What makes a narrative compelling isn't just the climax, it's the build-up, the moments where the hero almost gets what he wants only to have it slip away. That's what keeps you glued to the page. And in intimacy, you're the storyteller. Every kiss you delay, every touch you withhold is a plot twist that deepens her investment. You're not just a participant in the experience, you're the architect of it. Now let's address the elephant in the room. Why does this work so powerfully on a psychological level? Because it mirrors something fundamental about feminine desire. Women are now understanding of its power, but when you kiss her, they're just enough to let her feel the heat of your mouth before ending. You're not just teasing her, you're demonstrating mastery. You're proving that you understand the most fundamental rule of desire. It thrives on the unfinished, on the almost, but not quite. That tension, that ache is what keeps her coming back. It's what makes her crave you long after the moment has passed. And then finally, there's the space between her fingers. This is where the game changes, because this isn't about raw lust, this is about intimacy. You kiss her there, you're telling her something without words, that you adore even the smallest, most overlooked parts of her, that you're not just interested in taking, you're interested in knowing. And that more than anything conditioned to be the gatekeepers of intimacy, to set the pace. When you take that role, when you demonstrate that you're not just following her lead, but actively shaping the experience, it flips a switch. It shows her that you're not just another man rushing toward a finish line, you're someone who understands the journey is the point. And that shift in perception is what separates the forgettable from the unforgettable. But there's the catch. This only works if your restraint comes from a place of abundance responsible for safety and connection. This is why women often describe the sentiments as melting. It's not metaphorical. Their bodies are literally entering a state of receptivity that no amount of aggressive pursuit could ever achieve. But here's what most men fail to grasp: this kind of touch isn't just about her pleasure. It's about your transformation. When you learn to derive satisfaction from these subtle exchanges, you cease being a slave to your own hunger and become a connoisseur of shared experience. This is the hallmark of emotional maturity, the ability to find joy in giving pleasure without immediate reciprocation. Ironically, This is also what makes reciprocation inevitable. Nothing is more attractive to a high-quality woman than a man who isn't desperate. The philosophical implications are an ultimate display of masculine insecurity. When you can make her feel desired in these unexpected places, you solve the great riddle of intimacy. How to make a woman feel both safe and thrillingly unsafe at the same time. A practical application matters. Start by defining your own relationship with touch. Next time you're together, let your hands wander without agenda. Trace the lines of her hands before interlocking fangs. Kiss her temple when she least expects it. These aren't just romantic gestures. They're strategic ones, because they build what psychologists call skin hunger, the biological need for meaningful touch that modern life starves us of. When you become the man who satisfies that hunger in creative, unexcited ways, you position yourself not as another fleeting experience, but as an irreplaceable source of mention to these overlooked places. The back of her knee, the inside of her elbow, the dip between her collarbones. You're communicating something revolutionary. In today's hypersexualized world, that every part of her is worthy of reverence. This isn't just foreplay, it's a form of worship. And when a woman feels worshiped in this way, she doesn't just open her body to you, she opens her soul. There's deep psychology at work here. Physicality releases oxytocin, the so-called love hormone, but not all touch creates equal effects. Rough goal-oriented gripping triggers stress responses. Tender exploratory touch triggers bonding. When you trace your lips along the delicate veins on the inside of her wrist, or breathe warmth into the hollow of her palm before kissing it, you're activating her parasympathetic nervous system. Being caught. So don't just give her what she wants, give her what she didn't even know she needed. The exquisite torture of waiting for it. Let's talk about the difference between sex and intimacy, because most men never learn to distinguish the two, and that's why their relationships remain superficial. True connection isn't built in the bedroom, it's built in those quiet unexpected moments when you touch her not because you want something, but because you genuinely see her. That's the paradox most men miss. The path to deepest desire runs through tenderness, not just passion. Consider the simple act of kissing the space between her fingers and the surface. It seems almost innocent, perhaps, for men obsessed with chasing more overtly sexual experiences. But that's precisely why it's so powerful. When you pay, have the whole meal, but choosing to savor each bite. So what's the practical takeaway? Start small. Next time you're with her, pay attention to the spaces between your touches. Let your hand linger on her waist a second longer than necessary before moving away. Trace your finger along her collarbone, and then, just as she leans into it, stop. Watch how her breath catches. Notice how her eyes search yours. That moment, that tiny suspended moment, is where real desire lives. And when you learn to cultivate that space, something remarkable happens. You stop being just another man in her life. You become the man who understands something fundamental about her, something she might not even fully understand herself. That the body's deepest cravings aren't just for pleasure, but for the thrill of the chase. Even if she's the nourishment. The cultural lie we've been sold is that passion and tenderness exist on opposite ends of the spectrum. Truth is that they're the same current running through different wires. The man who kisses her between the fingers today will be the one she begs to touch her everywhere tomorrow, not because he's playing some calculated game, but because he's shown her that intimacy isn't just a means to an end, it's the end itself. So here's your challenge: stop trying to take her to bed and start taking her by surprise. The fastest way to a woman's desire is through the front door. It's through all these secret passages most men never think to knock on.